Welcome back. Today we're going to continue our series about modifying the Leatherman Wave. And this one is going to be a really fast video. What we're going to do is take full advantage of the capabilities of the Wave Plus to have replaceable cutters, and we're going to upgrade it with this. These are Multitool 300 EOD cutters. Now, they weren't necessarily designed for the Leatherman Wave, but you can make a modification to these alone, and that will allow you to put them into the Wave. Why would you do this? Let's just quickly go over that. So these have a straight cutting edge that is much sharper than the ones that you find on standard cutters in the Wave Plus. And if you work primarily in soft wire or steel cabling, this is going to make much cleaner cuts on those particular types of cable. So I just want to show you very quickly how you can modify these cutters to actually fit the Wave, the rebar, pretty much anything that takes replaceable cutters from Leatherman. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we're going to try to do today is, if you can see, the cutters on the Leatherman Wave, they have a rounded corner, and the cutters on the EOD, they have, well, it's a straighter corner, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how we say it. Well, all we have to do here is simply round this more. Now you can see there's 2 points of contact here and there, and that's going to be the same thing on these cutters as well. So whether we get this exactly right to match this isn't all that important. So as you can see, I'm not even going to bother marking this out. This is actually a pretty easy modification and very forgiving, because the amount we have to remove not only isn't that much, but if you mess it up or take too much, it's really not going to affect the cutters any, which is great. So I'm actually would normally put this into a locking vice grip and maybe hold it while I was working, but I figured we'll go ahead and try this clamp and see if it'll hold it while I do this. And it's pretty good so far. It's pretty windy out here. Alright, so once again, don't forget, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you are using eye protection. You will definitely run into an issue with this. Once again, we have hard metal and a cutting wheel. So between that, just cover your eyes, all right? As you can see here, this is not a very pretty job. Definitely not my best work. And it's hot. Woo! Alright. So as you can see, oops. All I did was knock down the corner. And it's not a very pretty job that I did, but it's going to work just fine. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other component, and then we'll be done. And I'm not going to show this just because, you know, it's not necessary, but you can see all I have to do is change this out. And I will show you what they look like in comparison, and then you can see right before I install them what they need to be approximately. So as you can see, we have original cutters that have not been modified, and then we have the one I did kind of sloppily. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be very accurate. But it gives me an opportunity to explain why these cutters are so good for soft wire. If you look, they come to a very nice definitive point. But if you look at what you get on the Leatherman Wave or any of these other cutters, there's more thickness at the edge. So it's more of a crushing motion. And if it's not a perfect connection, it's going to bend the wire. It's not going to cut the wire. So these are actually going to cut the wire. The other thing you might notice is that the tab of the cutting length is actually quite a bit longer than the standard one, and it's actually going to protrude a little bit into the gripping area of the Leatherman Wave. Now in the Super Tool 300, this is less of an issue. So the reason you might want to do this would be for specifically cutting soft wire, but if you do that, you're going to definitely offset some of its capability to grab nuts, or potentially you might damage the cutters. A lot of times if you need something like this, you're probably also carrying some form of actual wrench for nuts and that kind of thing. So this becomes closer to a true needle nose plier in this context. So let's go ahead and put this on. Now this actually comes with the cutters. When you get them, you'll get 2 additional screws that already have Loctite on them. You'll get the cutters, obviously, and then you'll get the little wrench. So you don't have to actually have any additional tools. And I believe these is a T8, just for the record. And I'm actually going to use the silver screws that come with it because I think the contrast is really nice. We'll also take a look at what it looks like on the inside of this thing. They're not particularly tight. It's just some blue Loctite, and it comes out pretty easy. All right. Okay, so let's do a quick comparison. You can see the difference in the cutters. So you can see the thickness of that cutting edge versus the one from the EOD cutters. My friend Ben did a really good comparison where he actually tested all of the different wire types using these 2 different cutters, and I will link that video where he upgrades his surge with these down in the description, okay? So you guys can see that as well. It's also in my playlist for modding, but that's a huge playlist with lots of videos, so I will put the direct link down below. Now let's quickly take a look, first off, at how this is constructed. Now there's been some misconceptions, and this is why I'm taking the opportunity here, that this plier head is straight better than plier heads that were made in the past in one piece, like this one. And I want to make this very clear in this look that that is just not true. You are gaining, of course, replaceable cutters, but you are sacrificing potential strength. So you're removing quite a bit of metal to allow that to happen. So when you see something like the Leatherman Curl, for instance, and you're like, oh, well, that doesn't have replaceable cutters, there is a trade-off, and what you are getting is a plier that is a little bit stronger when you're working on twisting motion, something you shouldn't do a lot of with a multi-tool plier, but the fact that it is stronger could potentially make a difference at some point. So with that aside, let's go ahead and install the new cutters. Now, hopefully I did this right. Like I said, I wanted to say that it's very easy, so I didn't measure it in any way. And yeah, they just go right in. You see what we have here though is it touching at the top and the bottom. So even though I didn't quite get the cutout perfect, it doesn't matter. It's still going to line up really nicely. Now these black cutters are hard to see, so I will show some close-up pictures of the whole thing at the end of the video. And then do the other side. I like that contrast. There we go. So check that out. I'm sorry, the light's not quite good enough here. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, you can't quite see it. But they are coming together with very nice precision. I don't feel any resistance, but I can absolutely feel the other cutter. That's beautiful. Now look, if you look and see how much space we have here, it's actually more than I expected it to be, and frankly, that doesn't even look that bad. I could easily feel like I could use this for driving nuts and I wouldn't have to worry about it. Now you have a much longer cutting edge that without any interruptions whatsoever. You gained a massive upgrade in certain context, and I really think this might be worth it to someone, so which is why I'm making this video. You can do the exact same thing with these cutters, and it will work in the OHT, the rebar, and the surge. So this will work for any of those tools, and it will give you additional functionality. All right, here we go. EOD cutters on a Leatherman Wave. It actually works better than I expected it to, and it doesn't get as much in the way of the gripping surface as I expected either. Thank you for tuning in. I will be releasing a new video like this one every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a lot more stuff to cover. I think I got 5 or 6 videos at least already planned just relating to the Leatherman Wave alone. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.